The Snapmaker U1 and the Prusa Core One with an MMU3 are two very different multicolor 3D printers that do incredibly well when it comes to speedy color 3D printing. And to see how well they really stack up, I put them both on the same playing field. Literally. Both machines had to make teams for my 3D printed electric football game, complete with Hero Forge minis on a do it yourself Hexbug base. We call them Viberbots, and if you're interested in building a set of your own, I have the directions on my blog and files are available for free. See the description below for all the links. So, which 3D printer wins when it comes to print quality, printer poop, speed, build size, and price? And more importantly, which one wins the game? That's what we're here to find out as we put the U1 and the Core One head to head. For most people, neither of these companies are what jumps to mind when you say color 3D printing, and that spot is currently occupied by a much younger company, Bambu Lab, which popularized four-color 3D printers back in 2022 with the X1 Carbon and its groundbreaking AMS system. And I have to put the emphasis on popularized because Prusa Research released its first multi-material system in 2017. Sadly, it just didn't catch on. But because Prusa is a big backer of open source, you can see the echoes of this first four-color hub in Bambu's A1 and Anycubic's Cobra 3. Prusa also laid the groundwork for color slicing. Their technology is at the heart of Bambu Studio and also Orca Slicer, which is used by Snapmaker. One of the things I really wanted to do with these two printers was update our electric football game for 3D Printopia. Our 3D printed hexbugs have always been fun to play with at festivals, and topping them with tiny little football players adds a bit of nostalgia for makers of a certain age. So I gave the Prusa Core One and the Snapmaker U1 identical teams of miniatures to print, each suited up in their own team colors. The Snapmaker U1 is kind of the rookie sensation right now. It's the first affordable, easy-to-assemble tool changer on the market. With about 19,000 backers on Kickstarter, it's already got a packed stadium cheering for it. I was lucky enough to be called up as a beta tester to review it before launch day. Now, if you're interested in picking up either one of these printers, I've got affiliate links down below. It doesn't cost you a dime, but it's a huge help to my channel. Thanks. I really appreciate your consideration. Now, let's line up the first play. The Snapmaker U1 is a tool changer. It's got four independent tool heads, each with its own nozzle. That means you can load four colors or even four different materials all at once. When it's time to swap, it just hands off the ball, switching the whole tool head. The Prusa Core One with its MMU sticks to a traditional playbook. It's got one nozzle, but the MMU can feed up to 5 filaments, one at a time. It pulls one out, it loads up the next, it purges the old color, and keeps the drive going. So right away, we see a difference in strategy. The U1 keeps filaments separated, while Prusa mixes them through a single nozzle. When it comes to raw print quality, both teams look great, with crisp details and clean separations between colors. But when I was printing the miniatures, the U1 fumbled, and it struggled with supports. Tree support should have been an easy handoff, but instead I kept running into failed prints. I thought maybe it was bad filament or poor calibration. But even after drying the PLA and doing a full recalibration, the problem stuck around. What finally worked was switching to old school grid supports. These are a little harder to remove, but I was able to get a successful print. To be fair, this was not a mechanical problem with the U1. It's a slicer issue, and hopefully the engineers can get this fixed before the retail release. Meanwhile, the Prusa was flawless. Yes, it took twice as long, but there were no fails, which means the Core One actually finished its team on the first try in about 20 hours. The Snapmaker slicer problems meant that I spent a whole weekend doing troubleshooting and reprints before I found the right solution. Prusa scores a touchdown. Before we kick off the next play and talk about filament waste, let's take a brief time out to thank the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. PCBWay is best known for custom PCBs, but they're also on your team for 3D printing, CNC, and injection molding when you need a little backup for advanced materials. And right now they're running a design contest featuring their official mascot, Eon. PCBWay wants your help designing a model based on Eon, this cute little bird who represents their commitment to quality and efficiency. You can imagine Eon in different uniforms, poses, or styles. The entry needs to be submitted as a 3D printable file, either an STL or a step file. Now, there's two categories. You can either work with Eon or you can make a totally new mascot. Either way, there's a $500 prize up for grabs for the best design, plus a second place prize and awards for the most creative entry. PCBWay will 3D print the winners and it will feature it on their website. The contest ends November 10th, so warm up those CAD skills and get creative. Thanks, PCBWay. Okay, let's talk about poop. Printer poop, that is. The Snapmaker U1 doesn't need to flush filaments because each color has its own nozzle. All it leaves behind is a small prime tower. For this batch of 3 minis, I got 17 grams of prime tower and 12 grams of support. When I switched to normal supports, it only burned up a few more extra grams, with 14.6 grams in the supports. A Prusa using an MMU3, on the other hand, has to punt some plastic every time it changes colors. Now, this is nowhere near the waste we see in machines that have an AMS and a cutter. Printers like Bambu Labs P1S or the Anycubic Cobra 3 cut the filament just above the melt zone and drives the old color through the nozzle, causing that filament waste. Prusa figured out how to quickly yank back more of that filament, so it doesn't need to clean out as much material. All of it is dumped out in this compact purge tower, or you can hide it inside the print's infill or make a purge object. This chunky little tower weighs 62 grams, plus the additional 3.4 grams of support. Now, to put this into perspective, my Bambu P1S would have made a purge tower half that size at 33 grams, but then it would have pooped out 265 more grams full of waste. Clearly, both of these printers are strong defenders in the purge department, but the Snapmaker makes a better play here. 7 points to Snapmaker. Now let's talk speed. Both machines are Core XY printers, but Prusa favors quality over quickness, and they give their machines slower acceleration rates and more conservative speed settings. When I printed out a single color quarterback on each machine, the Snapmaker had a clear advantage. The U1 printed this guy in 1 hour and 4 minutes, while the Core One printed it in 1 hour and 25 minutes. But when I added 473 color swaps, things got ugly. The Snapmaker U1 finished this print in 6 hours and 19 minutes. Now that's almost 5.5 hours of tool head swapping. The Prusa Core One finished the print in 13 hours and 14 minutes, a whopping 11 hours and 50 minutes of just color swapping. Why is this? Well, the Snapmaker only needs about 30 to 40 seconds to swap the tool heads and wipe the nozzle. But the Prusa needs to pull filament out of the tool head and back through a foot of Bowden tube before it can change colors. Moving the filament through all that tube only takes 5 seconds, but the Prusa has to clean the nozzle between the color swaps, and that's going to take an average of 90 seconds, depending upon the color. And again, for comparison, a machine with an AMS needs 21 hours and 46 minutes to print the same thing. Now, if you're wondering why such a small print takes so very long, it's the layer height. Because these are miniatures, I used a super fine 0.1 layer height to capture as much detail as possible with a standard nozzle. So this one goes to Snapmaker. The Snapmaker U1 gives you a 27 millimeter cube build volume. The Prusa Core One is slightly smaller at 250 by 210 by 220 millimeters. Both printers are average size machines, but they have uniquely sized build plates. So if you're shopping around for a new plate, you're going to have to buy one specifically for that machine. Since Prusa hasn't changed their plate size ever, it will be really easy to find one. Now for the U1, you're going to have to either buy it from Snapmaker directly or wait for the machine to get popular enough for a third-party plate to be manufactured. This one is more of a tie. Both machines excel at printing in various colors. The Snapmaker U1 can do 4 and the Prusa Core One can do 5. Because of the way these are built, neither one of these machines are going to be able to add additional colors beyond that initial setup. But you can still do little tricks like swapping a color in mid-print. The prints that have come off of both of these machines have been super clean without any bleeding. The Core One runs everything through one nozzle, so you're going to need to take care when you mix different material types. You can run PLA and PETG together without any trouble at all if you want supports to come off easily. But materials that run at different temperatures are going to be problematic. though I'm not sure why anyone would need to make a print out of PLA and ABS. Like any other multi-material system with an indirect drive, TPU is not going to work very well here. You just can't push a limp noodle through any length of Bowden tube. If you want to run standard TPU on your Core One, you're going to need to bypass the selector. Here, the U1 comes out on top because the filament path is very simple, the tubes are extremely wide, and it doesn't have to deal with a lot of back and forth. It can print TPU without any kind of problem at all. So if you want a 4-color TPU print, the U1 is going to be able to handle it. And because each tool head has its own temperature settings, you can mix different types of filament if you're feeling a little crazy. Scoring this play is difficult. The Prusa has more colors, but the U1 can mix TPU and anything with ease. I'd say both teams put some points on the board, but the U1 scored the conversion. Prusa and Snapmaker are both well-established companies with lots of experience making fabulous printers. But Prusa set the bar on building a community around their machine and their users. They were the first company to launch their own file sharing site, and they changed the name to Printables so that makers knew that everyone was welcome here. It's full of free files that work on any 3D printer. They also manufacture their own filament, and they have a huge print farm where they have hundreds of Prusa printers making parts for other Prusa printers. And when I'm on the East Coast in a couple of days, I'll be touring their new factory right here in America at Printed Solid, which is part of the Prusa family. They also have 24/7 customer service with real live human beings. And with everything going on with AI these days, having a human tech support really means a lot. When it comes to software, Prusa Slicer is literally the OG slicer here, with Bamboo using it as the foundation for their slicer and Orca being a fork of Bamboo. Team Prusa is definitely getting the touchdown here. Now, here's the big one, price. The Snapmaker U1 launched on Kickstarter for $7.99. Its retail price will be around $1,000. The Prusa Core One is $11.99 assembled and $9.49 as a kit. The MMU3 is considered an accessory, and it goes for $360 as a kit or $409 assembled. That puts our total price tag at $1309 for a do-it-yourself Core One with an MMU3 or $1608 fully assembled. Now that's a big difference. The U1 gives you more for your money. So if you're voting with your wallet, this touchdown has to go to Snapmaker. So which one should you buy? Well, it's a pretty close game, but today, Snapmaker ruled the gridiron. If you want speed, multi-material flexibility, and almost zero waste, the Snapmaker U1 is the clear champion. Prusa's Core One will definitely be back for a rematch in the near future. They've announced a team-up with Bondtech to give the Core One a tool changer add-on of its very own. And let me address the extra-large elephant in the room. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see these two go at it next. Tool changers are definitely the next big thing in 3D printing, and I can't wait to put all of them head-to-head.